Hi, boys and girls. Hi, families. Today we are doing the end of Module 4 study guide. We did our surgery review today, my little surgeons, and tomorrow is our test. I'm so sorry that this video is so late, but today was a crazy day, and then I had to go get my son and get him home and get dinner, so I'm so sorry it's really late, but you can still check your answers here. So hopefully by now you've done the study guide completely and you're here to check your answers, or maybe you're trying to go section by section. So maybe you've done this first section and you're ready to check your answers, and then you're going to do the next section and check those answers. That's fine too. So I'm going to go section by section so that way you can kind of pause the video if you need to do the next one. All right? So here we go. The first section we are doing is multiplying the fractions and then simplifying if we need it. So remember, the rule for multiplying fractions is to go straight across. Numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So it's a little easier. 1 times 1, hold on, is 1. 5 times 3 is 15. And then the last part is simplify if needed. Can I simplify 1/15? No, it's already simplified because 1 is in the fraction. If there's a 1 in there, you know that's as simple as it can get. All right, B, 3/4 times 1/3. Again, go straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Last part, can we simplify? 3/12? Yes, we could simplify that. They can both be divided by 3's. So 3 divided by 3 would be 1. 12 divided by 3 would be 4. So you should get 1/4 for your next answer, your product. And C, 5/8 times 4/10. So again, straight across, 5 times 4 is 20. 8 times 10 is 80. 20/80ths. But again, simplify, we can definitely simplify. First off, we see they both have zeros, so we know they can be divided by 10s. But we could also simplify 2 and 8. What I would do, honestly, is I'd immediately slash those zeros off. So we've already divided by 10s. Now we've got 2/8. We can simplify that. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Or if you didn't slash your zeros off this way and do it that way, that's fine. You could have just divided by 20ths because you know 20 fits into 80. The numerator fits in the denominator, so you could have just divided by 20s. 20 divided by 20 is 1. 80 divided by 20 is 4. You still get 1/4 no matter which way you do it. So that's the answers for section 1. Now we're going to go to section 2. Here we go. We're going to multiply. Now this time we're multiplying decimals. There we go. 0.8 times 4. So 8/10 times 4. Now with this section, you have two options here. You can set them into fractions and multiply, or you can do standard algorithm and just stack the numbers and multiply them across. And then remember to put your decimal back in. It's up to you. So you could set it up, 0.8 times 4, set it up that way, solve it like normal, and just remember where the decimal goes. Or you could do it as, well, this is 8/10, so you could solve 8/10 times 4. Oops. It's up to you which way you want to solve this, okay? You can do it this way, or you could do it this way. If you do it the fraction way, 8 times 4 is... Oh, hold on, my son's here. Okay, so 8 times 4 is 32, so you could put 32 up top, and then 10 is your denominator because we know a whole number is over 1, so 10 times 1 would be 10. And then you would simplify this to be 32 divided by 10 would be 3 tens and 3 wholes and 2/10. And you would need to make that a decimal because we're doing decimals now. So 3 wholes would be 3 ones, period, 2/10, or sorry, not period, decimal. I'm tired, guys. 3.2 should be our answer. Okay, if you do it this way, 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. So we get 32, but you have to remember, there's a tenths place here. This is a decimal, so we need to put that decimal here to make it the tenths place. So this way's a little faster, but you have to remember that decimal. Either way, you get 3.2 or 3 2/10. All right, B, 3 2/10 times 3/10. So again, you can stack it and solve it that way, or you can do it over as fractions. 32/10 times 3/10. Some people prefer the fractions in my class. I know you do. So if you do it this way, that's fine. 10 times 10 is 100. And then 32 times 3, you could potentially do this in your head, or you could set it to the side and stack them. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is, 3 times 3 is 9. So 96 hundredths. And that would be in decimal form, 0.96. Because remember, there's 2 zeros in 100, so that means 2 place values after the decimal. Okay? Or if you didn't want to do any of that, you could have just stacked your numbers. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. This would be a row of zeros, right? So 96 really is our answer. And then we need those decimals. We've got 2 place values here after the decimal. A tenth times a tenth is always going to be the hundredths. So 1 place value here, 1 place value there. So 1, 2. Okay? Either way, we should get 0.96. 0.96. So 96 hundredths is your answer here. Okay? C, I'm just going to go ahead and stack them. But again, the same thing applies. You could do the fraction version or you could do the standard algorithm. I'm going to go, for the sake of time for this video, a little faster, and I'm going to do the standard algorithm each time. But again, you could do fractions as long as you get the same answer as I do. 1 times 4 is 4. 9 times 4 is 36. Now I'm going to the 3, so I'm going to the tens place. I need my 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 9 is 27. And I need to add them. Be careful when you set these numbers up that they are in a straight line and they're easy to add. Some of you today during the review were making them sloppy and you were getting the wrong answers because you were not stacking them nice and neat. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 3 is 9. 3 plus 7 is 10. So I write my 0, carrying my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So you get 3094. And the last thing, you cannot forget it, is to add the decimals back in. So I'm going to write it over here so it's easier to see. 3094. I have 1 place value past the decimal, 2 place values past the decimal. A tenth times a tenth equals a hundredth. 1, 2, decimal. Okay, your answer here should be 30.94. 30 94 hundredths. D, 2 56 hundredths times 4 8 tenths. 6 times 8 is 48, so I stack my 4. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 4 is 44. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 4 is 20. Going to the 4, which is in the tens place, so I need a 0. 4 times 6 is 24. I can cross these off, I already used them. Carry my 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Add up my numbers. Again, nice and neat. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. And 1 plus nothing is 1. So again, my numbers are 1, 2, 2, 8, 8. That's my product so far, but I have to remember to place my decimal. Oh, I'm going to go to the side. So I just rewrote it nice and big so you can see it. That's my product so far, but I need the decimals. Well, I have up here, it went to the hundredths place. It went 1, 2 past the decimal. Down here, I was going to the tenths place. So 100 times a tenth. 100th times a tenth. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So I need to go to the thousandths place value up here. Or 1, 2, 3 places past a decimal. 1, 2, 3 places decimal. Okay, there's my answer. 12 wholes and 288 thousandths. All right, I'm going to section 3, which is the very bottom, and there's only 2 of them. Here we go. It says change each fraction into its equivalent decimal. So this one, remember, you are not just writing 1.4. Some of you were trying that today. Remember, when we're writing decimals, our place values are tenths, hundredths, or thousandths, right? It's all power of 10. We could go past the thousands, but we don't need to usually. It's a power of 10. So our denominator needs to be a power of 10. We have to get to that. We can't get to 10 from 4, so let's try 100. Can we get to 100? Yeah. So we're going to put 100 here. 4 times 25 gets me 100, so 1 times 25 would be 25. So this is an equivalent fraction. Now I just need to write this as a decimal. 25 hundredths would be, again, 1, 2 zeros in 100, so 2 place values past the decimal. So 0.25 or 0.25, 25 hundredths. And over here, again, we need a 10, 100, or 1,000 under here, a power of 10. So 5s, ooh, I can get to 10 from this. That's easy. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 would be 4. So my equivalent fraction here is 4 tenths. And to make that a decimal, I can write 4 tenths, 0.4. Or there's 1 0 in a 10, so we have 1 place value past the decimal. All right, that's it for the first page. I'm going to pause the video for a second and set up page 2. So we're going to the 4th section. Okay, section 4, we are doing conversions here. You can use your conversion charts on the test for this if you need, but hopefully you will already kind of know some of these. So remember when we're doing conversions, when we go from bigger units to small units, you're going to multiply by whole numbers. When you go smaller to bigger, you're going to multiply by a fraction. If you want to write that on your test tomorrow and it helps you, do it. That's fine. But remember, big is going to be whole numbers. If you're starting with a big one, you're going to do a whole number. If you're starting with a small one, you're going to be multiplying by fraction. Okay? So years to months. Years are bigger than months. So we're going to be multiplying by whole numbers here. So 3 1/3, you always keep what they give you. And we're going to multiply by a whole number of how many months are in a year. Well, there's 12 months in a year. Next, we have to turn this into an improper fraction first. 3 times 3 is not, plus 1 is 10. So this is 10 thirds times 12. And that equals 120 thirds. Final step. How many 3's are in 120? Well, how many 3's are in 12? 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then we're going to bring down our 0. So 40 months are in 3.5 years. Okay. Now we have 4 1/4 quarts. We always keep the first. And we need to multiply by, well, we're starting with quarts and going to gallons. So smaller to bigger here. Now we're going to be multiplying by a fraction. How many quarts are in a gallon? We know quarts are 4 in a gallon, okay? Just like quarters, 4 quarters in a dollar, 4 quarters in an hour, okay? There's 4 quarters, or quarts means 4, quattro, okay? So 4. So you're going to be doing times, this is 1 quart, so 1/4 of a gallon. A quart is 1 quart is 1/4 of a gallon. I can't talk. All right. So now again, make this an improper fraction. 4 times 4 is 16 because 4 wholes is 16. And 1 more is 17. So 17/4 times 1/4 equals 17/16. And again, turn this into a mixed number. So 16 can go into 17 one time. Oops. With 1 left over. So 1 1/16 is your answer. Okay. Going on to the next section, section 5. Here is section 5. We are doing the comparing. So remember, greater than, less than, or equal to. So 3.2, 3 2/10, times 5/9, and we have to decide if it's greater than, less than, or equal to 3 2/10. So in order to make this make 3 2/10, we would have to be 3.2 times 1 to get 3.2, right? This would have to be a 1 to make this an equal sign. Is 5/9 equal to 1 whole? No. So we cannot put an equal sign here. 1 whole would be 9/9. So we can't do that. So now we know it's either less than or greater than. Well, 5/9 is less than 1 whole. So you're going to put the less than sign because this is less than 1. So 3.2 times something less than 1 is going to get me less than this answer. Okay? And the way we know it, the explanation we need to use is 5/9 is less than 1 whole. Period. B, 11/8 times 5/7, and then is it going to be equal to, less than, or greater than 5/7? So again, these two are the same. We're going to ignore them for a second and focus on the one that's different. 11/8. Is that going to be equal to the 1 whole? Ignore my son in the background. Less than 1 whole or more than 1 whole? 11/8 is greater than 1 whole. So that means I need a greater than symbol here. And we're going to write 11/8 is greater than 1 whole. And C, 7/7 times 24 9/10, and then we got 24 9/10 over here. So again, you always look for the two that are the same, and you're going to ignore them and focus on the last ones. We've got 7/7. And basically, we need to decide, is this 1 whole to make this an equal sign, or is this less than or greater than? Well, 7/7 is exactly 1 whole. So this is going to be equal because 1 times 24.9 is going to be 24.9. So this is equal sign, and we're going to say 7/7 is equal to 1 whole. Okay, moving on to section 6. Here we go. We're dividing whole numbers and fractions. So for this one section, you're mainly going to be doing KFC here, okay? If you remember that, when we divide by whole numbers and fractions, we're going to be doing KFC. So you're going to keep the first one. Remember, KFC. Keep. Flip the second fraction to a reciprocal. Change the symbol to multiplication. So keep this first one, 6. Change the sign to multiplication. Flip the 1/4 to the reciprocal. We're going to flip it. We're going to switch it and put it 4/1. And then we know a whole number is really over 1 if you want to think of it that way. 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 1 would be 1. And really that's 24 wholes. So again, if you don't want to put the ones on the bottom, I'm always okay with that. That's fine. We know it's going to be 24 for our answer. Okay, same thing over here. Keep the first one. So if it starts with a fraction, my answer is going to be a fraction. Okay? 1/5. Change the sign to multiplication. Flip the 5 to make it a reciprocal. 1/5. So 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 5 is 25. Always remember, whatever you start with, this was a whole number, so my answer was a whole number. This was a fraction I started with, so my product is a fraction. I can't talk. So we're starting with 1/12. That's the one we're keeping. That's a fraction, so my product should be a fraction. Ugh, I can't talk. Really, it's my quotient because we're dividing. But remember, in KFC, we switch it to multiplication, so I keep saying product. 2 wholes, we're going to switch to 1/2. That's the reciprocal. We're flipping it. 1 times 1 is 1. 12 times 2 is 24. And 8 is the number we're keeping. Multiply by the reciprocal of 1/7, which is 7. And that equals 56, because 7/1. Okay? 56. So again, if it starts with a whole number, your answer is a whole number. If it starts with a fraction, your answer is a fraction. Okay? Moving on to the last page. We're almost there. Section 7, dividing decimals here. So again, for this one, there's a couple strategies you can do here. You can set it up the way we've done it before, where we stack the numbers and get rid of the decimals. Or you could do, make it some fractions in there and do KFC. So you could set it up 14 divided by, this is really 1/10. So you could write 1/10. And then do what we just did in the last section and do KFC. 14, change this to times, change this to 10 over 1. And you would get 140. Okay? So that should be our answer. Or if you don't like this version, when you see this, you could also do, remember we did stacking it, 0.1, and then trying to get rid of our decimals. So we have one place value here to move, so we could do times 10, and you would get 1 and 140, and that would still equal 140. So if you like to keep doing it this way and stacking them, get rid of the decimal, you'll get your answer. Or if you want to make it a fraction first and do KFC, that's fine too. Either way, you get 140. For B, same thing. You could keep it as 42 divided by 6/10, so you could make it 6/10. And do KFC, 42 times 10 over 6, which would equal 42 times 10 is 420. Oops. And then 6 as our denominator. And then you would divide that. Move my camera. 6 goes into 42 7 times, and you have a 0 on the end for 70. So that should be our product, or our answer. Or you could do 4.2. Stack it, because we're dividing by 0.6. Oh, it's not 4.2. Sorry, I'm so tired. 42 divided by 6/10. So you could do times, and we're doing one place value, so times 10, you would get 420 over 6, and you would still get the same answer. Same thing, right? Either way, no matter how you did it, these should be your answers for the first two. I'm going to just pick a strategy and stick with it. So now 22.4 and 0.7. These have two decimals in them, so you have to do it the only way. So 22.4 up top, 0.7 on the bottom. And we got to get rid of the decimals. We got to go one place value, so we need to move it times 10. Times 10. We're using the times 10s to move those decimals out of the way so we don't have to think about them. So that means 224 divided by 7. And then you do have to stack this as long division, the standard algorithm. 224 divided by 7. Go into that 3 times to make it 21. 22 minus 21 is 1. Bring down the 4. 7 goes into 14 twice. 14 minus 14 is 0. So 32 should be your answer here. And D. Again, stack them because they both have a decimal in them. So we can't do anything else but to stack them on top of each other. This is still saying 87 and 45/100 divided by 5/10. And then we're getting rid of those decimals. This one has 2 place values to get rid of the decimal. This one only has 1. So remember, we have to go to the farthest one. So we're going to go times 100 because there's 2 place values we need to get rid of. So times 100 times 100, because whatever we do to the top, we have to do the bottom. Which would get us 8,745 up top over, this is 5, and another one would be 0, so 50. Sorry, you can't see that. There we go. 8745 over 50. And now you have to solve that. So 8745 over, or divided by 50. 50 can't go into 8, but 50 can go into 87. One time, subtract, you get 7 and 3. bring down the 4. Enjoy my toddler in the background. 50 can go into 374. Well, 5 can go into 37 5 times to make 35. So we're going to do 5 times, and that would be 350. 4 minus 0 is 4. 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0. So we're going to leave it alone and bring down the 5. 245. How many 50s can fit into that? Well, I know 5 times 4 is 20, so I add a 0. 5 times 50 would be 200. 5 times 4 is 200. I'm sorry, boys and girls. This is not my best video. It's been a long day of surgery. The surgeon is tired. All right. Decimal, 0, because we didn't get to 0 yet, so we have to keep going. Drop my 0. I have 450 now. It's hard to see. 50 can go into 450 9 times, because 9 times 5 is 45, and we add a 0. Now we got to 0, so this is our answer, 154.9, or 154 and 9/10. All right, the last section of your study guide are all word problems, so just bear with me. I'm going to go as quickly as I possibly can, even though I know this is a very long video. Here we go. It says, in a game of basketball, Jimmy makes 3/5 of his shots if a third of... Thing dropped. If a third of his shots are 3-pointers, what fraction of all his shots were 3-pointers that scored? So we know he makes 3/5 of his shots. 3/5 are how much he made. And we know he scored 3-pointers on 1/3 of these shots he made. So 1/3 of 3/5. And we know anytime we see of, we really are multiplying. So 1/3 times 3/5 is how you should have set this up. And then go straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. That should be your answer, but we have to simplify. That would be 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 1/5 would be your answer here. So again, it's a word problem. You would say, I'm not going to write it because it takes time. You would say 1/5 of all his shots were 3-pointers that scored. Number 9. Jeremy bought a bag of chips for $8.40. If Jake bought a bag of chips for 1/4 of what Jeremy paid, how much did Patrick pay for the bag of chips? So, again, we have Jeremy bought it for $8.40. Jake bought a bag for 1/4 of what Jeremy paid. So we know 1/4 of $8.40. Or again, times, right? How much did he pay? So 1/4 times $8.40. It's up to you here. You could do this 2 different ways. Turn both of them into fractions, multiply them, and then turn it back into a decimal to get your money. Or you could turn the fraction into a decimal and then multiply the 2 decimals. I'll show you both very quickly, as quick as I can. So 1/4 times, you could set this up as either 84 tenths or 840 hundredths. I would go 84 tenths. And then you would say 1 times 84 is 84. 4 times 10 is 40. And then you would simplify that. 40 can go into that 2 times. With 4 40ths left over, you would simplify that to 2 and 1/10. And we would write that as $2 and 1/10 would be 1 there. And we could, because it's money, we need to add a 0 here. So we're saying $2.10. Now, if you didn't like that version, some of you really like decimals and would rather standard algorithm. So if you did it that way, 1/4, we could turn that into a decimal. We go to either tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. With a 4, you can't get to 10, so you're going to go to 100. 4 times 25 is 100. 1 times 25 is 25, which means this is 25 cents. Hopefully soon enough, you'll start committing into your brain that 1/4 is always going to equal 25% or 25 cents. But you need to do it this way probably for now. 25 cents times $8.40. Okay? So some of you like to just stack these and solve. 0 times 5 would be 0. 5 times 4, 20. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 2 is 42. 0, because I'm going to the 2. That's a 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. And the last row would all be zeros, right? So we just add them up. 0, I know I'm running into the next problem. 0, 2 plus 8 is 10, so 0, 1. 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we would get 2, 1, 0, 0, 0. Right? 2, 1, 0, 0, 0. But look at our place value. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 places past a decimal, or in other words, 100 times 100. So that would be 10,000. So 4 places past the decimal would be decimal here. So either way, we still get $2.10. It is up to you how you solve it, as long as you have $2.10, and you would write it as a sentence. Patrick paid $2.10 for the bag of chips. All right, last question. We're finally there, half hour later. Mrs. Kimberly buys 5 cakes for a party. If she cuts them up into 6, how many pieces of cake will she have total? Will it be enough to give 34 guests each a piece? So we start with, what are we sharing? We have 5 cakes, so 5 whole cakes. We are dividing them, cutting them into 6. So we're dividing them by 1/6. We're cutting them into 6. How many pieces of cake will she have total? Well, we're doing a whole number divided by a fraction. That's easy peasy for you guys. KFC. Keep, flip, change. Equals 5 times 6 is 30. Remember, the ones are going to stay the same. So 30 wholes right now. We have 30 pieces of cake. So will it be enough to give 34 guesses each a piece of cake? No, we only have 30. We don't have enough for 34 guests. So you would write, Mrs. Kimberly has 30 pieces of cake. She will not have enough for 34 guests. Period. Okay? So I know this was a very long video. It took me a long time to make it, so I'm putting in a lot of energy here. But your test has a lot of different skills you are working on right now. We have done so much with these fractions, and I'm so proud of you. So thank you for watching. I hope all your answers were correct and you feel good about this test tomorrow.